Welcome to the Prophecy Club. We are going to continue talking about reasons why America might be about ready to fall on, about, or around the year 2020. I'm not setting a date. Please do not put words in my mouth. We are simply discussing the various reasons why it could be that America is actually really close to falling. We've been talking about this for the last week, and I think it's really, I don't even know the right word, scary, when so many people, including me, I mean, I love Trump. I love the things he's doing. I think that America is rejoicing in so many ways that we finally have someone that gets into office and does what he says he's going to do and starts fixing a lot of things that are broken in our nation. I want to believe, like Jeremiah 51 verse 9 says, we would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her and let every man returning to his own country. I want to believe that we can stand in the gap, that we can either soften, delay, or remove, although Dumitru was told this one is not going to be removed. Nevertheless, we still got to try. We still got to pray. We still got to do everything we can to try to save our nation. However, I want to continue talking about this. Yes, you're going to hear a few comments you've heard before, but I'm going to be bringing it in, kind of tying it all together to help you see something that I see. First of all, let's start with the basic information, and that is the warning given to Dumitru Duduman. The fall of America would start with an internal revolution, started by the communists. Some of the people will start fighting against the government. The government will be busy with internal problems. Then from the oceans, Russia, Cuba, Nicaragua, Central America, Mexico, and two other countries will attack and defeat America in one day. Now, if you want to join us fasting and praying against that and other bad things happening, if you want to be one of those that stands in the gap against the bad stuff, you want to pray for the good stuff, then go to prophecyclub.com and join our fast track fasting and prayer team. I never send product offers nor ask for donations. This is only for fasting and praying, and that's it, okay? So let's start. Let me remind you, Shane Warren, in his DVD, The Storm, Judgment, and Revival, filmed Friday, October the 5th, 2012, said that there is a 400-year judgment cycle. And he said he thought that America's judgment would arrive in 2020. I didn't say that. Shane Warren said that. Well, 2020 just happens to be 400 years from when the Mayflower Compact was signed, when America made his covenant with God to form a, quote, new nation for the furtherance of the gospel of Jesus Christ, unquote. 2020 also just happens to be 40 years from when God first spoke to Dumitru Duduman, saying that you're going to America to give them a warning from God, meaning that's when judgment was pronounced. So 2020 is 40 years from judgment being pronounced on this nation and 400 years from when God made a covenant saying that he would use us to start a new nation for the furtherance of the gospel of Jesus Christ. Now, this is 2020. Just a little bit of math tells you that we are running out of time. Year, 2, 3, I don't know. Maybe. I mean, I'm going to have to say, the more I'm looking at this, more I'm saying, brothers and sisters, it looks a whole lot closer to soon than it does far away. We are looking at civil war, an internal revolution has probably started. So let's examine some of those things of the prophecy. Russia, Cuba, Nicaragua, Central America, Mexico. Russia? Well, Trump is about to go to a summit with Putin. We need to pray, brothers and sisters, that he makes good friends with Putin. You've heard the old saying, keep your friends close and your enemies closer. Well, boy, we better hope it happens here. We better hope and pray that Trump comes across very kind and warm and friendly and loving, and that Putin really takes to him, and he leaves a good impression, that he doesn't come across arrogant or looking down his nose at Putin or something like that. Nicaragua, Central America, and immigration. Do you think Nicaragua and Central America is happy with America? I don't think so. What about Cuba? I think Cuba hates us as much as she always has. What about Mexico? I think Mexico has long hated America, and that there's been jealousy and for our blessings a long time back. What Mexico wants is to get back Texas, Arizona, California, and New Mexico. They want their territories that they used to have, and they want them back. Now, in 1993, Henry Gruver told a story about a great flood hitting a hidden Russian military invasion equipment, tanks and such, that was hidden in underground caves and cavern system down in Mexico. Now, that was back in, the early 1990s. So apparently, for a long time, Mexico has been cooperating with our enemies, planning to invade or cooperate, or at least allow an invasion of America. You think they'd do that? Hang on to that thought. I'm going to pile a lot of stuff on you. I'm going to pile a lot of stuff that, as a prophecy teacher, as someone who's been carrying the warning message of Dumitru Duduman since February of 1984, what do I see? There was another article about Seattle police officers quitting, leaving, resigning because of the city fathers talking bad about them. And then, of course, now we see the communists calling to abolish ICE. That's saying we want to get rid of our police officers. We want to have mayhem. All right, then we have Maxine Waters calling openly for Democrats to begin to harass Trump supporters. You go push at them and all sorts of stuff like that, she said. Well, is that a problem? Is anybody listening? Yes. The DHS boss, Kirsten Nielsen, was heckled and harassed in a D.C. restaurant. Scott Pruitt became the latest Trump official to be harassed at a restaurant. Also, Sarah Sanders was asked to leave the Red Hen restaurant just because she worked for Trump. Trump supporters then turned around and unleashed their anger on the wrong Red Hen restaurant. In other words, my point I'm trying to make is it's not just the left that's angry at the right. The right is angry at the left. It's not just the Democrats angry at the Republicans. They're both angry at each other. Headline, Violence in American Streets. Communist leaders urge their followers to rise up and prepare for, quote, a summer of rage. No, I'm not kidding. It gets worse. Michael Moore said on an HBO special that the U.S. military would side with progressives in a civil war against Donald Trump. Let me read that again. Michael Moore said that the U.S. military would side with progressives in a civil war against Donald Trump. What's that saying? They're saying they're expecting a civil war. They're even egging it on. Recently in Portland, Oregon, some Christians gathered for a prayer rally. That sounds like a pretty good thing. We need to pray for the peace in America, right? Well, Trump supporters had gathered to pray and were caught unprepared for the violence that erupted. One woman was entirely convinced that Antifa had come down there to, quote, try to murder us. Antifa thugs showed up throwing rocks and flashbang grenades. And the police confiscated, this is what they got from the Antifa thugs: mace. I mean, listen to this list: mace, clubs, gloves with reinforced knuckles. Now, you might call those brass knuckles. Batons, knives, and handgun clips. Handgun clips? Why would someone take handgun clips someplace? Obviously, because they've got the gun that those handgun clips go into. All of those were confiscated from the Antifa thugs. Now, who does it sound to me like is on the good side and on the bad side? It sounded to me like a bunch of Christians showed up to pray, a bunch of Antifa thugs showed up trying to kill them. Does that sound like civil war to you? Does to me. Some call this the first skirmish in America's next civil war. A shocking poll recently, I just covered it this past week. This is kind of a summary of these past several broadcasts. A shocking poll found that 31% of all Americans believe that there will be a civil war in America within the next 5 years. And that 59% of Americans believe that Donald Trump's opponents will resort to violence. Well, let's back up. Now, in Portland, the Christians gathered to pray, and it was the left, the Antifa thugs, that showed up trying to kill them. And I thought it was kind of funny. on Michael Moore when he was on HBO, this HBO special. He said, the only thing that concerns me is the left is not the ones with the guns. It's the right. It's the conservatives. And I thought, yes, we have the guns because we want to protect ourselves from guys like you. And that's exactly right. That's exactly what happened in the case in Portland, Oregon, where the Christians show up to pray and the Antifa thugs show up to kill them. So 31% of Americans believe that there's about to be a civil war, and 59% said that they would be Donald Trump's opponents that will resort to violence. I don't believe that. I think it's going to be the other side. It's going to be the left. We no longer have to wonder when civil unrest or civil war or the internal revolution is coming. I'm saying I think that the internal revolution has started. Now, the final internal revolution, when Russia, Cuba, Nicaragua, and Central America and those guys attack, is when Israel is attacked, America sends troops, and they protest. That's the final internal revolution. This is not the final internal revolution. In other words, I'm not saying that America is about to fall here in the next few days, next few weeks, or even the next few months, or maybe even the next few years. At least if my prayers are heard, it's not going to happen in the next few years. But what I am saying is the final revolution is not here, but the start of some of the beginning revolutions has started. Let's go on with this. Some of these reports here. Communists are now calling this the summer of the rage. They aren't talking about taking back the country by polls, by voting in November. They are talking about open armed insurrection, civil war, internal revolution. Let's go on with what Michael Moore said in that HBO interview. He said that if we don't act now, that Americans are going to be deeply regretting not rising up against, quote, fascism while there is still time to do so, saying now is the time to stand together to stop the madness in the Trump administration. Quote, what are people willing to commit to? What would you give your life for? Moore said. What would you be willing to actually put yourself on the line for? That moment is now. We are going to lose our democracy if we haven't already. We have no choice, my friends. We all have to rise up. What did he just say? He is just calling for open armed insurrection. He is calling for an internal revolution, a civil war. He is calling for the left to pick up firearms after Donald Trump supporters. Let me go on. More plans, quote, to join 1 million other Americans to surround the United States Capitol. What is that? Is that a coup? Are we about to have a coup in America? Let's go on. To join 1 million other Americans to surround the United States Capitol to protest Donald Trump's nominee for the Supreme Court. You can only ignore the will of the people for so long and get away with it, Michael Moore said. Now, let's jump to Chris Matthews of MSNBC. Yeah, you know Chris, okay? He's the guy that does the program called Hardball. He says, this is a time to fight. Quote, it's going to be almost like the Spanish Civil War, unquote. That is calling for internal revolution, my brothers and sisters. He went on to say, so, quote, I'm quoting him. So, what I would say, I think this is going to be the fight of the century. I think the Democrats have to say, no way. Not one passes this line. I think it's going to be almost like the Spanish Civil War stuff. You watch. It's time for Democrats to play hardball. I'm Chris Matthews, and I'm urging them to do just that. There are times to fight, and this is one of them. That's Chris Matthews of MSNBC. Hardball, okay? You believe this? I'm telling you, when I first heard Dumitru saying that America's going to fall from an internal revolution, that's how it starts, I thought, how could there ever be an internal revolution in America? Well, back in 1984, when I first heard it, you couldn't believe it. I could not imagine how America could be that angry and that fighting it. Well, here we are. Here we are, brothers and sisters. Headline. the fight over Trump's next Supreme Court pick. Now, you know about this. Kennedy was what they call the swing vote. He's the one who single-handedly, a couple of times, saved Roe v. Wade. Headline: Deputy Director of the DOJ refusing to give evidence of their plan to destroy Trump in his campaign or presidency. The article went on to talk about how it looks like there was actually a setup against Trump. As soon as Jeff Sessions was appointed director of the FBI, he recused himself, and all of a sudden there was a witch hunt on. Recently, Trey Gowdy was interrogating Rod Rosenstein, and he told Rod Rosenstein, quote, "Finish it the blank up." And he was talking about Rod Mueller's Russian collusion investigation witch hunt after Donald Trump. Headline: Is America headed for a new kind of civil war? That's a headline. That's a newspaper headline in America. Here's another one. Are right-wing pundits right that America is on the brink of a civil war? Those are headlines in America, brothers and sisters. Now, see, I've been telling people since February 1984, this stuff is coming. Now, here we are in 2018, and voila. Now, you think anybody's listening? Do you think my mailbox is filling up with donations from my brothers and sisters that have been saying, you know what, Stan Johnson, you were right. You're right. You've been telling us the truth. Now, for 25 years, you've been telling the truth. And I tell you what, here's my donation. You get on more radio stations. You get on more TV stations. Where are the $1 million donations? Where are the big people that have lots of money and lots of deep pockets saying, I thought you were a knucklehead. I thought you were crazy. There's never going to be an internal revolution in America. All this Dumitru stuff is just rubbish. But now I see. Matter of fact, that was a prophecy. September 30th, 1994. It was, have to remember this, Kevin Funderbuss-Fusen. He said the time is going to come when people will come up to you and they will repent before you. And they will say, I did not see how God was in what you were doing. But now I see, and I will get behind you and I'll support you. Your greatest critics will become your biggest supporters. I didn't see how God was in what you were doing, but now I see. And I will get behind you and I will support you. Where are they? Our mailbox right now is so flat, I didn't get to pay people today. Yeah, it's Friday. We didn't have the money to pay people. What is going on in our nation, brothers and sisters? I kindly ask for your support. Do I get it? A few. Where are the big donations? The 100,000, the 10,000, the 1 million. I hear other ministries get these $1 million donations. Where's ours? They tell the people what they want. I get on here and tell you the truth. You know I tell you the truth. You know I do. America continues to slide down the abyss. We continue to fall apart. Is America headed for a new kind of civil war, the headline says? Answer is yes, absolutely. I need the money to tell America this is happening. Where is it? Now, I mean, I'm not getting on to you. You're still listening. Praise God for you. I'm talking about where are the thousands, maybe millions of people that have heard my voice since 1984. Where are they? Where? They know I've been saying this. Where are they? I need their help. Where are they? Next headline. Representative Steve King says U.S. is moving toward a civil war. We have a representative. We have a representative. This is not some prophecy teacher. This is not some backwoods crazy asking you to drink Kool-Aid. This is a representative, Steve King. He's saying America is moving to a civil war. And Prophecy Club can't pay their people. Do you see a problem? Do you see a problem? I see a problem. God is going to hold America accountable for that message that Dumitru Duduman sat on the electric chair twice to qualify for. He sent a man from another nation that he had tested for 30 years carrying Bibles into Russia. 30 years carrying Bible, tested in all kinds of ways, put on the electric chair twice. He brings him over here. How's it going? America hadn't heard that message. Tell me somebody else that talks about Dumitru Duduman. Tell me. Send me an email. AskStan@prophecyclub.com. I've asked. I don't get anybody telling me. I know there's people listening. I know. But where are the people? I'm not getting on to you. Praise God for you. Bless you. You're listening. I'm talking about the thousands, maybe millions of people that through these 25 years of being on radio, we used to be the number 2 prophecy ministry in America. We used to be depositing $600,000 a month. But slowly, through the years, people have tired of the message. I don't like it. Scares me. Gets me down. It's negative. I've heard the comments. Grow up. We've got a nation to save here, brothers and sisters. Representative Steve King says U.S. is moving towards civil war. I didn't say it. A U.S. representative, your representative, said it. Then there's a poll, the last 2 weeks. 59% of America fears violence from Trump haters. 59% fear violence from Trump haters. That's the left. The poll went on to say 31% of America predicts we're headed to a civil war. 31%. 31% of America says we're heading to a civil war. And here's Stan Johnson at the Prophecy Club been telling people for 25 years on radio, it's coming, and we can't make our salary. Is that a problem? Thank you for listening. Thank you. You're on the good side. I'm not attacking you. I'm attacking all of these Christians that heard this message all of these years and turned their backs. Oh, well, we got all we wanted. You told us we got the message. Yeah, but you didn't help spread it. Where are we going with this? Well, according to Pastor Massey, right now, we're in good times. In my opinion, I think we're at the end of the good times. We'll talk about that in a second. A time of high food prices and food shortage is next on the list out of the 5 prophecy pictures. I've covered this a lot, so I'm going to cover it quickly. If you're listening today, you're on the good side. You're one of the good people. I'm not attacking you. I'm pointing out that our nation is in serious trouble. Serious trouble. So May 27th, 2016, in my prayer closet, I asked the Lord to give me a bird's eye view of where we're going in the future, and I specifically asked him to speak through either Pastor Massey or my wife, Leslie. Next morning, sure enough, he calls. Now, see, this is the same thing with Nebuchadnezzar and Daniel. Nebuchadnezzar had a dream, couldn't remember the dream. So he tells his magicians, astrologers, and Chaldeans, tell me the dream. Then I'll know you can give me the interpretation. They couldn't tell me the dream. Daniel comes in, tells him the dream and the interpretation. That's what happened here. I asked specifically for this dream to be given specifically to Pastor Massey or to my wife, Leslie. Next morning, he calls. I had a dream. Don't understand the dream. I said, tell me the dream. He starts telling me the dream. I said, I know what the dream is. This is what I asked God to give you last night. So this dream, brothers and sisters, this one's confirmed. This one is confirmed. This is of God. Better listen up. He said, first pictures. There was 5 pictures. Good times, Christians feeding others, have to have a gun to survive, American Christian refugees, and the tribulation. He said, first thing we were plowing, very good things happening. I think that's right now. He said good things like 7 years of plenty. We're going to talk about that in a second. Next thing was we came home. Someone dropped off 2 children in my house. They thought I'd be the best one to take care of them because they were afraid they wouldn't have any food where they lived. Third picture. Someone came to talk to me. I'm summarizing this. I don't want to talk to you without my gun. I got my gun, went and talked to him. Meaning, third picture is if you want to be safe, you better have a gun. Better have a gun. Better have a gun. Are you listening? Fourth picture. American Christian refugees were walking out of America. Fifth picture, tribulation. people getting their heads cut off. Now let's talk about the two cows. Two Cows, a black and white cow, was first published by the Associated Press September 25th, 2014. And a second one was born on September 25th of 2014. That's the 49th Shemitah. Now, they were both released to the public September 25, 2014. On the 49th Shemitah. Shemitah represents 7 years. Brothers and sisters, that can't be an accident or a coincidence. Now, I'm not predicting anything based upon these two cows, but I'm giving you what the prophetic picture is. The prophetic picture is this. This black and white cow with a pristine 7 on its forehead may be saying 7 years of plenty started September 25th of 2014. The solid red cow with a scribbled 7 on its forehead may be saying, be followed by 7 years of famine. Now, if it is of God, if it is a prophetic warning, well, the interpretation would be that 2014 started 7 years of plenty that would conclude in 2021. Is that saying that the possible fall of America might be on, around, or associated with the year 2020 or 2021, somewhere in that ballpark? Now, I didn't set a date, brothers and sisters. Don't put words in my mouth. Also, could it be saying that 2021 begins 7 years of famine, or the tribulation started in 2021 and the conclusion is 2021? Now, once again, do not put words in my mouth. I did not say the tribulation is going to start in 2021 and the return of Jesus in 2028. I didn't say that. But we're talking about hypothetical circumstances here. Let me refresh your memory. One of the things that Leslie was told by the audible voice of God was the thing to watch for, in addition to the fall of America, in addition to the internal revolution for the fall of America, is Omar ushers in Palestinian state. Headline: Prime Minister says he wants to push controversial Jewish state bill through Knesset. The Jewish state bill, for the first time in Israeli law, would enshrine Israel as, quote, the national home of the Jewish people. Did you hear that? Enshrine Israel as the national home of the Jewish people. Question: is that the next step heading to the prophesied Palestinian state? You recall that is the step to watch for. That starts the fall of America, according to what the audible voice of God told Leslie. Now, is there other things that saying that things are kind of getting set up here? Let me point out something else real quick. Is Trump about to weaken or maybe even destroy NATO? Oh no, I look up, we're about out of time. Oh my, too much more to go. All right, well, I will try to continue this Monday. All right, but here's the thing. We're in trouble. I'm talking America's in trouble. I'm talking Prophecy Club's in trouble. They both need your help. America needs your help. You know what America needs? America needs this message, brothers and sisters. We need those big donations. I know that probably nobody is listening that can send big donations. I know. Because we aren't part of the in crowd at the Prophecy Club. We're not part of the in crowd that would possibly have somebody who had $1 million listening to us. But we can at least make our payroll. If you can help, if God has blessed you, now would be a real good time to do so. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your prayers, and God bless you for listening.